I get it, you're staring at that cracked steam valve on your Rancilio and wondering if you should splurge on a replacement or keep tinkering with a cheap knockoff. The last thing you want is to drop cash on a part that doesn't fit, ends up leaking, or worst of all voids the warranty on a machine you've already invested so much in. And if you're like most home baristas, you're also trying to figure out whether the upgrade will actually improve your daily espresso routine or just sit there gathering dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I started looking into the iSteam Assay for my own Rancilio Silvia, I dug through a mix of forum threads, a handful of video teardowns, and the occasional "what did you replace" post on Coffee Talk communities. The consensus was clear: the OEM part number 10705590, is the only piece that guarantees the exact tolerances the machine was designed around. That's why the manufacturer emphasizes guaranteed compatibility and higher quality and reliability. In practice, that means the steam pressure you've come to rely on stays steady, the valve seats correctly, and you don't have to worry about a slow drip that turns your morning latte into a soggy mess. If you're a daily espresso maker who pulls multiple shots a day, the iSteam Assay is a solid investment. You'll notice the difference the moment you fire up the steam wand after a replacement. There's no hissing, no uneven pressure, and the milk froths just the way the machine intended. For people who treat their espresso rig like a kitchen workhorse, that reliability translates directly into consistent foam texture and, ultimately, a better tasting drink. The part also carries a safety assurance. Because it's a genuine Rancilio component, the internal pressure seals are tested to the same standards as the original factory part, reducing the risk of a sudden burst that could damage the boiler or, worse, cause a minor kitchen accident. On the flip side, if you only brew a couple of cups a week and you're comfortable with a bit of trial and error, you might be able to get away with a third-party valve that's cheaper but not officially certified. The trade-off is that those aftermarket parts often cut corners on the O-ring material or the machine surfaces, which can lead to premature wear. In a low-usage scenario, you might not notice the downside for months, but when it finally does fail, you could end up spending more on a second replacement and possibly dealing with a warranty claim that's now in question because you used a non-OEM part. Installation is another practical point to weigh. The iSteam Assay is designed to bolt right into the existing housing without any need for adapters or custom machining. If you've replaced a boiler or a group head before, you'll likely find the process straightforward. Unscrew the old valve, pop the new one in, and tighten the retaining nut to the specified torque. The downside is that you still need a basic set of tools, a good set of hex wrenches, and a torque wrench if you want to be precise. For the truly DIY-averse, the part's OEM fit means you won't have to hunt for a makeshift solution, but you'll still need someone comfortable opening up the machine. That's why many users recommend watching a step-by-step video or consulting the service manual before diving in. One thing I appreciated in the product description is the mention of warranty preservation. Rancilio's official stance is that using genuine parts is less likely to void your equipment. In real-world terms, that means if something goes wrong later, say, a cracked boiler or a malfunctioning pump, the service center will look more favorably on a repair that was done with original components. It's a subtle but important piece of peace of mind, especially if your machine is still under the standard 2-year warranty. A generic part might get you up and running, but it could raise eyebrows when you send the machine in for a later issue. Now, let's talk numbers. The OEM iSteam Assay usually sits a bit higher on the price tag compared to the cheapest off-brand alternatives you'll find on marketplace listings. That price reflects the quality of the material's high-grade stainless steel, precision machined threads, and a proprietary sealing system. For someone who values a hassle-free espresso experience, that premium often pays for itself in the form of fewer service calls and longer intervals between part replacements. The 4.6-star rating from nearly 500 reviewers underscores that most buyers feel they got their money's worth. Who should definitely consider buying this part? If you're running a home espresso setup that sees frequent use, multiple shots per day, daily milk steaming, someone who values long-term reliability and wants to protect the machine's warranty, comfortable doing a modest amount of disassembly, or have a friend who can help, on the other hand, you might want to skip it. If you only make coffee occasionally and are okay with occasional quirks in steam performance, prefer to experiment with cheaper, non-OEM parts and accept the risk of